Okay, students, how are you? How do you do? Fine. So today we are going to discuss a different problem, a very interesting problem regarding polar bear. So you know law of floating bodies. This is based on the law of floating bodies here. Okay, so laws of flotation we can say. So if you observe here, there is a polar bear. Okay, and this polar bear is having a weight of 240 kg, and that is sufficient to sink the iceberg. What is the mass of the iceberg? He's asking us to find out mass of the iceberg. Specific gravity is given. So what do you mean by specific gravity? You know specific gravity is nothing but density of the body by density of the water, which is given as 0.9. So you know density of water is always 1 gram per centimeter cube. So if he has given specific gravity, that means he has given indirectly density of the body. So density of the body is taken as, what is the meaning of body here? Body in the sense, for example, this is ice. Okay, so you can take density of the ice here. Okay, here body is going to be the ice here. So density of ice is 0.9 gram per centimeter cube. Similarly, you can take here density of water, seawater. Seawater will be having a little bit more density because salt is present in that. So it is going to be 1.02 gram per centimeter cube here. Because he has given specific gravity he has given means indirectly he has given density for us. So specific gravity is equal to density of the body by density of water. Density of water is 1 gram. So if you substitute 1 here, you'll be getting density of ice. Okay. So body is nothing but ice here. Okay. So you can write, if you want here only, you can write density of the ice by density of water, because specific gravity is going to be the ratio here. So density of ice will be taking as 0.9 gram per centimeter cube. And density of water is, that is seawater, is 1.02 gram. If you have understood this question, let us go for, okay, so let us go for the problem explanation here. So what is the problem explanation here? Find the mass of the ice he is asking. So we have to find out the mass of the ice here in this case. So how are you going to find out the mass of the ice? Okay, so we shall discuss the mass of the ice here. So he has given us density of the ice, density of the water is given to us. So when a polar bear is sitting on the iceberg, it is said that iceberg is immersed. Okay, so not even a small part of the iceberg is raising. Completely iceberg is immersed because the polar bear is standing on the iceberg. So if it is completely immersed, how can you find out the mass of the iceberg here? What is our aim now? You have to find out the mass of the ice. So this is based on laws of flotation. What do you mean by law of floating bodies here? Law of floating bodies says that weight of the body is equal to weight of the liquid displaced. Okay. So what is the weight of the body here? Weight of the body is combination of iceberg plus polar bear. These two combined together, it is called as weight of the body. So weight of the body, if you consider, this is going to be mass of the ice plus mass of polar bear. Okay. Into G. Then what do you mean by weight of the liquid here? Weight of the liquid is nothing but mass of the liquid, that is mass of the water here. Weight of the liquid is nothing but water here. So mass of the liquid into gravity. In this case, both are Gg is getting cancelled here. But you should remember one thing here. If this iceberg is immersed, you should know that equal amount of water will be displaced from that place. If an iceberg is immersed in water, that much amount of water is getting displaced. So law of flotation says that weight of the floating body is always equal to weight of the liquid displaced. So how much body is having weight, that much liquid is displaced here. Okay. So if this is the amount of liquid displaced here, let us see what is going to happen here. So mass of the ice I have taken, which is given to us, okay, which we have to find out here. So mass of the ice you have to find out here. How do you find out the mass of the ice? Mass of the ice is nothing but volume of the ice into density of the ice. Okay. Mass is equal to volume into density. Plus mass of the polar bear is given to us, that is 240. and mass of the water is nothing but volume of the water into density of water here. But if you observe one thing here, how much iceberg is inside the water, that much of amount is going to be displaced. That much amount of water is going to be displaced. So this weight and this weight, both weights are same now. So weight of the liquid and weight of the iceberg plus polar bear, okay, these two combined weights are going to be same. That is called as the concept here. That is law of floating bodies, we can say. Then here you know that the volume of the liquid displaced is always equal to volume of the iceberg here. Both volumes are going to be same. So we can consider this as V. So what are you going to do now here? This is volume of the ice, you can consider as V. Density of ice, you can write here. If you want, you can just substitute here. Okay, first of all, you do one thing. 240, write like this only. And here, as I said, volume of the ice is equal to volume of the water is equal to V. Both you can take it as V here. Okay, so V, if you common out, because both V's are same here. Okay, if you want, you can write one more step here. For example, volume of the water into density of the water minus volume of the ice into density of the ice here. So as both the volumes are same, you can write 240 is equal to V dW minus di. Because both the volumes are same, you can common out volume here. So what are you going to do first? You have to find out the volume of the iceberg. Once you find out the volume of the iceberg, it is very easy to find out the mass of the iceberg here. Let us see what is going to happen here. So if this is the situation here, you can just write like this. V is equal to 240 divided by density of water minus density of iceberg. So V is equal to 240. Density of water is given to us, that is 1.02 minus 0.9. So this can be written as 240 divided by 0.12. Okay, so 240 divided by 0.12. So volume can be taken as 2400, and one more zero if you add, you can write this as 12. So 12 ones, 12 twos. Okay, so we're getting how much? We are getting volume as 200 centimeter cube. So once we get the volume here, can't you find out the mass? Yes, you can find out the mass, because mass is equal to volume into density. Volume is equal to, for which mass we are finding here? We are finding the mass of the iceberg. So mass of the ice is equal to volume of the ice into density of the ice. So volume of the ice we got just now as 2000, and density of the ice is nothing but 0.9. So we'll be getting 1800. Okay, so centimeter cube. What's the point now? So it is in CGS system. I think you understood. Okay students, today we are going to discuss one more problem which is based on the concept of aerodynamic lift. So what is the concept behind the lifting of an aeroplane in air? Okay, how can that much huge aeroplane having a passengers of passengers, 300 passengers will be sitting inside, and even it is made up of a metal which is very huge. Such a huge aeroplane, how is it able to fly in air by taking so many passengers? That's very interesting. It's incredible, amazing fact it is. Okay, so what is the physics behind that? The physics behind that is explained by Bernoulli's theorem. Okay, so if this is the problem here, if you observe, a problem was explained here. If you see, this is an aeroplane. Speed of the air is 120 meters over the upper surface, and this is 90 below surface. Density of air is given. Find the difference in the pressure between the top and the bottom. Pressure difference you have to find out. The dimensions of the wing is given to us, and average width, okay, dimensions are given, length and width is given to us. Calculate the gross lift of the wing. How this huge aeroplane is being lifted, that is a big question before us. Okay, so we shall discuss about this today. Okay, so children, so let us see here what is going to happen. So this is an aeroplane now. According to Bernoulli's theorem says that P1 by rho plus GH1 plus half V1 square is equal to P2 by rho plus GH2 plus half V2 square. Okay, so it is given here. So this is called as Bernoulli's theorem. What is the Bernoulli's theorem explaining here? Pressure energy, potential energy, kinetic energy will be same above the aeroplane wing as well as below the aeroplane wing. Okay, so what is going to happen here? Here we have to find out what is the pressure difference first of all. Okay, you have to remember one thing here. What is that? When an aeroplane is moving, the wing is like this, So when the air comes and strikes the wing, what is going to happen? You will observe that the velocity of the air below the wing will decrease because wing is a little bit crossed like this. So when the air strikes here, its speed will reduce. Okay, when velocity decreases, pressure increases below the wing, and above the wing velocity will be more and pressure will be less. Below the wing pressure will be more, velocity will be less. So pressure is inversely proportional to velocity. Okay, so if you understood here, so when the air strikes the wing here, this is going to be lifted up. That is the concept behind that. So here this is about the Bernoulli's theorem. Now, so this is going to be half V2 square. So these are the dimensions of a wing here. So wing is having a width of 2 meters and it is having a length of 10 meters according to the problem given here. So how are you going to find out the aerodynamic lift? With what force it is going to be lifted here? So let us see what is going to happen here. So air density is also given to us. So first of all, you will do one thing, P1 by rho. Here you know that both the wings are at same level. Did you see any aeroplane whose wing is one is above, one is below like this? It's not possible. So both the wings are horizontal. They are at the same heights. So we can cancel potential energies because height h1 of one wing and height h2 of the other wing, both are going to be same. Okay, so anyhow, so this is going to be removed here. Okay, so what are you going to see now? P1 by rho minus P2 by rho is equal to half V2 square minus V1 square. So therefore we can write P1 minus P2 by rho is equal to half V2 square minus V1 square. So therefore P1 minus P2 is equal to half rho V2 square minus V1 square. What is the point now? So therefore, but he is asking two things for us. He is asking pressure difference. He is even asking the aerodynamic lift also. So you can find out the pressure difference by using this formula. But what do you mean by aerodynamic lift? Aerodynamic lift is nothing but how much force is applied on the aeroplane so that the huge aeroplane is able to fly in air. So for that you do one thing. Pressure is equal to force by area. So force is equal to pressure into area. So by using this concept here, we can write force because of aerodynamic lift is nothing but P1 minus P2 into A. So this formula you are going to apply now. So therefore we write now P1 minus P2 into A. So here, if it is into A here, you have to multiply even A here also. So half rho A V2 square minus V1 square. So therefore we can substitute the values now. Half. So what is the density of the air? Density of air is considered to be 1.3 and area of the wing is nothing but length into width here. So you can write it as 10 into 2. Okay. So after that V2 square minus V1 square. So above velocity is more, below velocity is less. You can write it as 120 square minus 90 square. What is the point now? So this is the concept here. And if you do the calculations, I think you will be getting some answer. So I think this is a beautiful concept of aeroplane, which is very interesting. Bernoulli's theorem is very, very interesting concept according to me. Okay. So even there are many examples for Bernoulli's theorem. Very, very amazing examples we can give regarding Bernoulli's theorem. If a train is moving before you, when you go very close to the train, when the train is very fast, you feel that as if train is pulling your body towards it. What does it mean? How is it possible? So you have to apply Bernoulli's theorem here also. When a train is moving very fastly, when you go very close to the train, the velocity of fluid, that is wind, before you and train is more. Okay, so velocity is more before you and train, and behind you velocity of the air is less. So wherever the velocity is less, pressure is more. Wherever the velocity is more, pressure is less. So pressure before you will become less because velocity is more. Pressure behind you will be more because velocity is less, and you feel as if you are being pulled towards the train. There are many incredible examples regarding Bernoulli's theorem. You might have seen that, for example, there is a calendar, you can say. So if you take a calendar here, I'll give an example for that. For example, this is going to be a calendar here. So you calendar is fixed to the wall, isn't it? So when the air is coming from the fan and this calendar is fixed to the wall, you will observe that the calendar is lifted up actually. So what is the reason behind that? The reason behind that is a fan's air is coming in this way. So velocity of the air above the calendar is more compared to behind the calendar. So behind the calendar pressure will increase, above the calendar pressure will reduce. That's the reason why this calendar, the calendar's papers will be lifted up. This is also concept of Bernoulli's principle. And the same concept is applicable even for aeroplane also. When aeroplane is moving, what is going to happen here? What is going to happen? So here pressure below the wings of the aeroplane will be more compared to pressure above the aeroplane. The reason for that is below velocity is less because velocity of the air is stopped by the wing of a aeroplane. What is the point now? So thank you very much. It's very interesting. I think you have enjoyed.